Hello, Neil Wilding here, one of the partners at Stonewood Financial. I want to welcome you to a special Stonewood study group. Many of you that are on this call, this webinar live today, are going to see the Annuity Alpha software in action for the first time. Many of you also joined us for the launch that we've had. This software has been out in the wild, being used by many of you already for about a month. And it's been awesome to see how it's resonated with so many of you. Here at Stonewood, we're always pushing out new software, new ideas, new concepts. This was the first time we crossed that bridge over into the annuity world. And because we always kind of wondered, annuities are doing so well. So many of you are already successful in your annuity practice. Is there anything new that we could do to help? And finally, we had that idea, and we had a sneaking suspicion that we had something that could really help. And boy, over the last couple of weeks, it's just been amazing to take phone call after phone call, just hearing all the success stories of people using the report in client meetings to help close more FIA business. And that's what we're all about, is helping you grow your practice. So what I want to do today is, for those of you that are seeing it for the first time, don't worry, you're going to, we'll hit on how the software works, but I wanted to expand it for those of you that have already seen it and maybe signed up and for looking for the right way to go about it. I'm going to tell the story in a slightly different way this time to just really show the power of guaranteed income. And so what the annuity software does, it really, remember what we're doing is we're begging that question, what would the capital markets have to do to just match what my annuity is guaranteeing? And that's really the ultimate question this software helps analyze. And what's great is in almost every illustration that I've seen come through and used in the software, it's showing that, boy, the capital markets have to work pretty hard to keep up. And so in doing that, and as you see the exercise unfold, as you see the software in action and run multiple scenarios, that's one of the sales ideas I have for you here, is don't just run one scenario, play around with a couple of the assumptions, and just to see how, moving something here on an assumption can just drastically change how hard the capital markets would have to do. And in doing this, going through the exercise just yourself, before you even present it to a client, it's eye-opening. And I imagine most of you already understand annuities. You already believe in them. You're using them, but the numbers can still be eye-popping. And what we want to do is just rethink guaranteed income. It's not just the safe money play. It's not just a fixed income alternative. What we want to do is show that when used properly, when structured properly in a holistic portfolio, the portion of the portfolio where you add an income guarantee can really generate alpha for your client. And what do we mean by alpha? It's like we're showing that this thing can outperform. And annuities have never really been thought about that way. I mean, I guess maybe early in the FIAs, before they were called FIAs, equity index annuities, back then we actually called them that. But the products changed and the design changed and how we sold them changed. And so then it kind of became this fixed income alternative, the safe money part of your portfolio. And annuities are still going to play a perfect spot in a portfolio for that. But what we want to show is that maybe there's some room in this portfolio for maybe a little more annuity, because boy, when you talk about guaranteed income, you're going to see how it actually generates alpha for your client's portfolio. So let's dive into some case studies. And if this is the first time you're seeing the story, don't worry. I'm going to structure it in a way where you can see how the software comes together. I'm going to just start with, and I'm calling this case study kind of life expectancy, because that's what we're going to do here, right? Is we've got a couple or someone that's considering an annuity, and obviously it's going to be guaranteed income for life. And so let's just kind of plan it out for life expectancy, right? Life equals life expectancy. And so in this case, I'm going to assume a client, it doesn't say this on the slide, but they're 65 years old. And they're going to buy an FIA with an income rider. And this is going to be the one I use for this example, is going to be an annuity that maximizes the guarantee. I know when you go to run your illustrations, there are some of them that really focus on upside. And it's like, I'll take a guaranteed income, but my guaranteed income might start a little bit lower, knowing that the step ups are going to get us a lot further, right? And our software is actually built to accommodate that. But I just went with a good old fashioned, hey, give me the carrier that's guaranteeing as much income as possible for my 65-year-old client. And so 65, they're going to turn 70. And I'm just using $100,000 just because it's a good round number. And again, my 65-year-old life expectancy would put us to age 85. So we're just going to model out the next, I guess it's the next 20 years, but really it's the 15 years of income because we're going to trigger income at age 70. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, well, the capital markets have to perform in order to keep up with the annuity. And so if we're going to compare and contrast the two, we do have to make some assumptions to just start that comparison. So if we're just going to be in a managed portfolio, this could be a mutual fund portfolio, ETFs, whatever it may be, I'll just generically call it a brokerage account. We have to make some assumptions. And so I'll just assume, since they're in retirement, we got to think about a balanced portfolio, right? If we're in a managed portfolio, how do we mitigate market risk? We mitigate that risk through allocation. So it's not all going to be equities. There's going to be a fixed income component, and depending on their risk profile, that number is going to go up or down. These are all inputs in the software. You put in whatever your client's risk profile is. So for my case here, I went 50-50. Allocation, I'm going to assume 8% from equities. I'm going to assume fixed income at 4%, and so a blended rate of 6%. Now, you might say that if you look back historically, maybe you can do more than 8% equities. Actually, recent history, since the turn of the century, it's actually been a little less than 8%. Fixed income, who knows what to put there, right? I mean, just a couple of years, we were lucky to get 1%. And now we're doing 5% in our checking accounts, right? So long term, I went with 4%, which is a little bit higher than examples that I've used in the past. And I'm just doing that because I want people to believe the report that I'm putting in front of them. And so actually, I was a little aggressive in my assumptions for the brokerage account. So 6% blended rate there. The annuity that I used, I've actually used this in previous examples as well. By the way, I assumed 1.5% advisory fee, which is a little low, actually. 1% for the advisor, plus there's usually a third-party asset manager that's getting 50 basis points plus the underlying cost of the instruments in there. If you're using mutual funds inside a wrap program, that number is probably north of 2.5. But for we'll say this is an ETF portfolio, 1.5% expenses. Now on the annuity, again, remember I said I used one where I maximize my guaranteed income. And so if I'm maximizing, and if I'm using one of those products, there's one out there that would guarantee this particular client $11,265 on a 65-year-old income starting at age 70. You might be thinking, well, that's pretty high. It is, but remember that's a product that kind of peaks early, and so it's 11,000 the whole time. There are definitely some products in the industry that can get you higher than that 11, but it won't start there. It might start at like 6,000-7,000, work its way up through step ups. Long term, maybe provide more. Not the point of this exercise. Again, though, the software can accommodate those kind of products too. Anyway, so these are my base case, and I'm just going to look at, okay, brokerage account getting me 6% blended rate, an annuity that's guaranteeing 11,265, and I'm just running this to life expectancy. So for a 65-year-old, that life expectancy is at about at age 85. So now this is output of the software, and all it does is it takes that income guarantee and you plug it in. Not doing any math on the annuity side here. We're just putting it in a pretty picture like we can do here at Stonewood. And so the annuity side of this is just saying, okay, if I'm going to just look at life expectancy. Now remember, we just chose age 85 just because we want to show what it looks like through life expectancy. The annuity is guaranteed for life, but we're just going 85. And obviously we're guaranteed that 11,265 because that's what the contract says. So now we say, okay, if I'm just modeling to life expectancy and I'm going to put an emphasis on income, which means, okay, so the annuity is guaranteeing 11,265. If I'm going to compare that to a brokerage account, there's no restrictions in that account that says you can't take more or less than that. You can take whatever you want, right? So in this case, we're going to say we're going to go ahead and take 11,265. Now, what happens if we don't have the performance, right? You run out of money a little early. So in this case, our income would last to age 83. So it does pretty close. It gets almost to life expectancy. And so what that tells me is that 6% didn't quite cut it, right? Now, because of that, now you don't want to run out of money early. You certainly don't want to run out of money before life expectancy. So what could you do if you're in a brokerage account, you're in a mutual fund account, whatever? You say, well, I can take less. And so I'll take a little bit less. And so then the question is, if I do want it to last to 85, this is the second output of the software. How much of a pay cut would you have to take? And in this example, it's 10,066.15. So what is it? About 500 bucks, 600 bucks of a pay cut. I mean, it's not significant, but when it gets cumulative, it is. But the next one analysis is really the important one here, which is, okay, what's this brokerage account have to do to match what the annuity is guaranteed? And again, the answer to that is a blended rate of 6.54%. Now remember, I assumed a 50-50 portfolio. And so that means I got to get 654 out of the blended rate. So if half my money's earning 4, that means the other half has got to do 9. And the software calculates that and it puts it in the, I won't call it, disclosure. It's bolded in that orange box there. That's the number to me. And obviously, the more money you have in fixed income, the higher the equity markets have to do. So 9.08% is what the equity markets would have to do in a 50-50 portfolio just to match what the annuity guarantees. Now, when you look at it, it actually does pretty good, right? The annuity certainly wins, but it comes close. But here's the problem. I just modeled this to 85. Now, if we're modeling the life expectancy, that's like, let's just think of this. Let's say we had a room of people. I know a lot of you on here do seminars, and we're going to stand up and we're going to talk about this great sales idea, right? And we're going to talk about income and say, okay, I got 2 instruments for you. One instrument's going to be guaranteed for life. The other one, for half of you, is going to work and get you the income that annuity can guarantee in the managed account. Half. All right. So which half of you want it? Well, obviously everyone's going to raise their hand, right? No. I want it. Right? So if we're just modeling to life expectancy, we're only getting half. And so we got to change our mindset. And I know many of you already do this. You probably said, Neil, why are you just modeling this to 85? Because you're already thinking this way. But I just wanted to call attention to it and say, when we're going to run these reports, one of the inputs is how long do you want to model? And we can't just look at life expectancy. We got to think about lifespan. How long are your clients living? And some people, they don't make it to life expectancy, or they just make it to life expectancy. But half of your clients are going to go further. And so that means all of your plans need to go further, because you don't want to have one client that sits down and talks to you and said, our plan failed because we didn't plan long enough, right? And so let's go case study 2. And I'm going to take the exact same annuity, exact same assumptions, but I'm going to push out the longevity, the plan, for another 5 years. So now, again, that same 100,000, that same client that's 65, modeling age at income at age 70. But now what we're going to do is we're going to push out life expectancy, or we're going to push out the assumptions past life expectancy into like lifespan, and then we're going to assume 90. So that's another 5 years. Why do we do that? Well, there's a 47% chance one of the members of the couple is going to live to 90. And so we got to plan at least to 90. In that case, we already know what the annuity did, right? The annuity is guaranteed for 11,265. Now, we're going to look at, and we can take 11,265 out of the brokerage account, but we already know that's going to run out of money at age 83. We already know that test failed. But now, like, since I got to add 5 more years of payments to the managed account, if I spread it over my to 90, that means I have to take even more of a pay cut, all the way down to 8,896. Now it's starting to hit your pocket a little bit, because we know we can't just plan to 85. We can't just plan to life expectancy. We got to think about lifespan. And so in that case, if we got to get an extra 5 years, now my blended rate, again, this is the answer to the question, which is, what would the capital markets have to perform for my managed portfolio just to match what the income guarantee is guaranteeing for life? And in this case now, just by going 5 years past life expectancy, suddenly you can see that capital markets have to do a lot more heavy lifting. That 50-50 portfolio means we got to do 790. And so since it's 50-50 and we're getting 4% from fixed income, that was just in the assumptions, that means equities got to do north of double digits now. Suddenly we're starting to get unrealistic. And it's just starting to show even more how powerful the income guarantee is. Now, is running it to 90 enough? Should we go to 95? Well, there's a 30% chance. It just matters what day you ask Google. Life expectancy, it's like 30 to 33% chance that one of the spouses, for every couple, that one spouse will live to 95. So if I'm an advisor and I have clients, I'm thinking this way, I got to push this out to 95. And then now, boy, does the income guarantee obviously start to make a lot more sense. That 11,265 you can get from the annuity, we already know it fails at 83 if we're just focused on time. But the pay cut you got to take now, $7,800 compared to 11,265. The blended portfolio's got to do 8.62%. Let that number sink in. Let's think about that. I'm going to let it unfold. What do the equities have to do in a 50-50 portfolio? 13.24%. What do those two numbers mean? What it means is, on one hand, I've got an income guarantee that's guaranteed to pay me $11,000 plus for life. And on the other hand, if I live to 95, the managed portfolio has got to do a blended rate of 8.62%. Just to match what the annuity is guaranteed. And if I'm in a 50-50 portfolio and I need 8.62 out of the whole thing, that means you got to get north of 13% out of your equities. Right? And to me, those numbers, when we say that, it just assures you, and when your client says, you know what, I'm not sure I want to do this. I might just stay with my other advisor down the street. It's a perfect report to say, well, okay, if you do, why don't you go ahead and take this to that other advisor, ask them to sign it, and see if they're going to tell you that they can get you 13.24% out of the equity portion of their portfolio. See if they can get you an 8.62 blended rate. All right, that's tough. No one's going to sign off on that. And so that's why it really shows how powerful these income guarantees can be. So now let's just summarize. Remember, in one hand, you got this annuity. It's guaranteed for life, right? So it takes the longevity question, the longevity variable off the table, guaranteed 11,265 for life. Or on the other hand, you got this managed portfolio, mutual fund account, ETFs, whatever it may be, right? And it's got to work to beat just to match what you've done. And at age 80, if we're going to just plan to life expectancy, those capital markets have got to do, your blended rate is 6.54. Maybe they think that's manageable. I don't think that's too tough to beat. But boy, that's just for half your clients. The moment you start living past life expectancy, that's how much harder the capital markets have to work just to match what the annuity guarantees. This is Annuity Alpha, and this is the software, and this is why I'm taking so many phone calls from people that say, how do I get my hands on that report? And so if you're looking for, I'm going to give you a QR code at the end, but there's one final step that I want you to see. And this is after this, like we've got the sale. Your client says, you know what? I want a piece of guaranteed income in my portfolio. You're the advisor to get it for me. Let's do it. All I'm going to suggest, one final step, is a piece of paper. And we're going to protect your practice. With the software also comes what we call a signature page. And that signature page is just for you and your client to sign and say, you know what? The assumptions that we put into this report, we believe in them, and both of us agree to them. And if we agree to the assumptions, and then we look at the output, suddenly, what do we have? What we have is financial justification for the sale. And I know we're in a litigious society, and best interest is always coming up, and the DOL is out there and attacking commission-based products. And so if we're going to continue to offer commission-based products, and I'm not, by the way, I believe in managed money. I own managed money. I'm not saying don't sell all your managed money, right? Like It's great. But there's a piece of the portfolio where an annuity is going to make sense, and we're going to collect a commission for it, and we're going to have to justify it. Like, the industry is coming after us, right? So if we're going to have to justify it, what better report to show than this? And just have it in the file, have your client sign it, and you are going to meet every angle of best interest and financial justification that the DOL can throw at you. So just to me, I mean, as awesome as the numbers are, and as much as it can help you sell, a lot of you didn't have any trouble selling already. But what this can do is just an extra piece of paper to help cover your practice, because we know that that's important and people coming after it. So how do you get your hands on that report? If you've already have a Premium Plus account with us, that's our bundle package where you get everything. Just hit the QR code next to Alec, and he can do some coaching. He can get you in contact with anybody on the team to show you how to use the software that you already have. If you need to upgrade your membership so that you make sure you get that report, just hit on the QR code next to Tyler. That'll take you to our sales team, and they can show you how you can upgrade it. We've got monthly pricing now. If we need to get you in, it's very easy for you. So December, some of you are trying to close strong, and this is a great report to help you close the year strong. Some of you have already had great years, record years, and you're doing your planning for 2024. Why don't you go ahead and get into the software now, kick the tires on it, take a look at it, and then you'll be greatly positioned for 2024. So hope everyone's had a great day. I hope you can hear it in my voice. I love this stuff, and I have a passion for helping advisors grow their practice, and also a passion for helping you protect your practice. And I think we've got a report. I'm confident that we've got a report to help you do both. So thanks. Have a great day.